Sarah just came off of a talk at the State of the World. It's called the State of the World.
State of
Yeah.
the World Forum with
Mhm.
Which
Ithaca
world? Which
University.
world?
The Earth World. And he was saying that you were talking about how our approach to non-human intelligences ought to be, it doesn't mean they're all benign or everything's hunky-dory, but ought to be at least starting with giving them the benefit of the doubt in terms of peace and love.
Mhm. Yep. I've had a very long day and I had no idea what Ross was going to talk to me about. So I was very surprised. It was hard to focus because of, just days don't go as, what you planned. And but yeah, it was a really good talk and we covered the gamut from a couple of astrophysicists like Avi Loeb and Beatrice covering their scientific studies to, meditation and raising your vibration and consciousness. And it was really cool. And AI as well.
Oh, that's really cool. So, I think Carmen's coming into this cold. Carmen, do you know who Sarah
I
is?
am coming in ice cold. Yes.
I love that. So, Sarah, you want to introduce yourself?
Yes, I will be happy to. I kind of cover a lot of things, and I'm a jack of many trades in my life somehow. But I am a farm girl. I'm from Missouri, and okay, where do I go? My undergrad's in astrophysics. My master's is in countering weapons of mass destruction. I have worked for the intelligence community out in the DC area, Northern Virginia, for actually 18 years now. So most of my career has been in the intelligence community, very scientific based. A lot of jobs. I've bounced around and done a lot of things, including supporting the UAP task force for a little bit many years ago. So that's how I got really involved in the UAP space. But I'm also a psychic medium. So I have
Ooh.
the science and the spiritual side of things, and I could discuss both, and the bridge between the two, quantum entanglement. And so yeah, I I have an interesting perspective on the world.
Yeah, so you'll
So,
be right at home here.
so did the your interest in the psychic medium part of it, is that a new thing or is that something you always had with you?
um yes to both of those things.
Oh, okay.
I've seen ghosts pretty much my whole life, and I've always believed that we're not alone, whether it be ghostly things or angels. I also grew up religious, and from an astrophysicist standpoint, that I always believed we weren't alone in the universe. So like, why would there be infinite amount of space and it just be us? But so yeah, I saw ghosts at a young age, but I had a near death experience in 2012, and that started accelerating more psychic abilities, and that led me to I don't even know how the words to properly describe, but I freaked out because I started having other people's loved ones come to me and give me messages, and I knew everything about them. So I had grown up also having vivid dreams and having my loved ones come to me and talk and chat. And um, so then I had basically friends that I didn't know very well, and their loved ones were coming to me, and yeah, freak out is an understatement. I had no idea what was happening to me. And I would also have those moments in my sleep, like the movie The Sixth Sense. The little boy had would have ghosts visit him in his sleep, and that's what was happening to me, but I didn't realize it. And so I'd talk in my sleep to them, and I freak everybody out that that would be around me, like my ex that I was with during a lot of those dreams. And I'd sit up and talk to them, and lay back down, and he's freaked out thinking somebody's in the house. So
Well,
yeah,
how
so
did
it's
you make that
yes, I've
transition? Oh, sorry.
mhm,
You were in
no,
the middle of answering the question. I got it.
you're okay. the transition from freaking out to
How did you
embracing.
know that? Well, how did you know that these were real spirit? How did you come to learn that these are actual spirits attached to actual people?
I talked to my spiritual teacher about it, and she was like, "Oh yeah, that's spirits wanting help." And when I would really think about some of the dreams that I had, when I would really think about them, like, oh my gosh, it's just like the movie The Sixth Sense, because I vividly remember, I don't remember a lot of them, but one of them, it was like a guy in a rain slicker, a rain hat, like he was dripping wet. And it was just like I kept on getting a sense of just help me, help me, help me from him. And that was a night I was told by my ex that I was sitting up in bed actually conversing with the entity. And he sat up and he was saying, Sarah, who's here? And I'm like, oh, don't you see him? And I'm like, he's right there. Like, how do you not see him? And he's getting the carpet all wet. And like, there's like, I don't understand how we got in. And apparently my conversation with him was telling him I don't know how to help him. And that's what my ex was telling me, like, because I don't remember the conversation. And then I lay back down and I go back to sleep, and he's adrenaline rush, thinking somebody's in the house, and he turns on all the lights. So I made the transition from freaking out and not knowing what was happening to me to taking control and adding protection and learning how to communicate and learning how to help who came to me, and also setting boundaries, letting them know doing this in my sleep is not a cool thing anymore, guys. I'm a human. I got a finite time here, and I need sleep.
Now, my body needs you not to do that. Yeah, yeah. Good boundaries. And did it work? Did they stop coming in your sleep?
Yep. I'll still have now once in a while, things will wake me up. I have a best friend on the other side. So of course at 2 and 3 a.m. It's the only times that apparently we listen once in a while. So he'll move things around or wake me up to get me to pay attention to some messages, and depending what's going on in life, I may listen or I may not. And he actually, one of my best friends, she's also a psychic medium, and he'll go to her to give a message to me because I'm not listening. Mhm.
I love that. So, did you get any pushback from when you sort of came out of the closet as a medium? Did you get any pushback from the IC?
Actually, no. I was petrified because I have a top secret SCI clearance, and I do take a polygraph every however many years the requirement is now. I think 5 to 7 years maybe is for the CI counterintelligence polygraph. Um, I was very, very nervous at first, and so I didn't tell anybody. And I was going through the initial class when I was actually supporting the task force. So
I'm going to adjust the
it
light
was new
here
to me.
because the sun is setting. Keep going.
Oh, yep. And I was, new to supporting the UAP task force, and that wasn't high visibility yet either. So it was a very confined group of people that I was working with.
Wait, what year
So
was that?
eventually huh?
What year was that?
2019.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's
Mhm.
better.
So yeah, so
Yeah.
that part's fairly being a medium is fairly recent in my life, like officially knowing what I'm doing and putting boundaries and all that. But yeah, so I just started the classes in 2019, and I was so scared. I was scared to, I think, admit it to myself as well, because I didn't know what was really happening to me. And then I turned out to be really good at what I was doing, which also kind of scared me even more. And so eventually one day, some folks were chatting, some folks meaning people at work were chatting about ghost hunting. And I was like, I could do that. I know about ghosts. And they were like, what? And so they started asking me some questions, and it wasn't a thing at all. Like, no one cared. No one brought it up another day. No one, it was just like, oh, I told a fun story about, my cat. And then that was it. And so I slowly was able to talk more and more about some stuff at work and to let more coworkers know because that was who I am. And it was also a part of the spiritual classes is informing people. We called it coming out of the closet. And so we had homework once in a while to tell it had to be 3 people a week for a couple of weeks in a row. And what I learned very quickly, which was the lesson, that spirit will always provide the right opportunity, and that's what happened. And so you got comfortable sharing this, weird part of yourself with others, and you would share it at the right moment with somebody that would have needed to hear that grandma's really there on the other side and she loves you and she's still around. Yeah, no one cared.
That's really cool.
Mhm.
You were working with the right people.
Yeah. I always felt so fortunate that even my family supports me. And I'll say some of them are still slightly skeptical, but that's healthy, right? I'm
Yep.
still a skeptic every once in a while because my science brain will, still be prevalent in a lot of situations. But I had a classmate where she couldn't even talk to her husband about any of it, and a spiritual in my spiritual classes, a classmate, and she couldn't go home to talk to her husband because he didn't believe in anything. And just because it's my journey doesn't mean it's my partner's journey, and so she respected that as well. But I just felt so bad, like I could actually, talk to all my family about it. My nieces and nephews, they also love it and embrace it and ask me questions all the time. And I feel so fortunate and blessed on this journey that I am so much, oh, I'm supported by so much love around me.
So,
Yeah.
Sarah, what's your theory, either as a scientist or as a psychic or both? What's your theory about what's happening? In other
Um,
words, you
of
get
course.
communications,
Mhm.
and you personally are convinced they are real. Real is probably not the right word, but they're authentic. And so you're a scientist and you're a psychic. So what's your explanation for what is happening?
Um, that's a good question. Uh, um, I mean, the foundation of it all is it's inside every single one of us. We just tend to shut it off because the
What
world
what
tells
what
us
is
it's
inside each and every one of us?
um the ability to communicate with, other dimensions and with, ghosts and angels and spirits and spirit guides, like all of it, even NHI, non-human intelligence, so alien races, you could communicate with them too. So that ability is inside of 100% of us. Oh, and even sorry, I'm looking at my cat. You can
Uh-huh.
even communicate with pets too.
Yes. So I'm going
Um,
to ask you these
but
questions. I'm not a hostile lawyer, but but I'm really interested in getting to the essence of it. So this ability to communicate with non-human entities, non-living human entities, is in all of us. So what exactly is that thing that's in all of us? I mean, what is the pathway? What is the like it's like if you play the cup game, and
yeah,
with a kid and there's a little cord
yeah,
there. So what's the
yeah.
mechanism?
I mean, the magic juice is love and trust. It's really what it boils down to. It's so simple and it's so cheesy, and but that's what it is, and it is trusting what you're hearing and having that input, what's coming in through that. You're trusting that that voice on the other side that you can't see and you might not be able to physically touch either, that's really a voice, that's really grandma, or that's really Jesus, or so it's trust, and then learning how to love in a different way, like love yourself, forgive yourself. You have to face yourself in order to shed your ego to figure out this trust of the universe that, things don't happen to you, they happen for you, and can keep preaching and saying these fun little things, but it really boils down to and healthy skepticism, I think, too. But that that little intuition that's in all of us that'll say, no, don't turn left down this road right now. And turns out there's, maybe ice or something on the road, but there's a lot of accidents and you just avoided that. It's like it's listening to that little niggle and that little voice that's inside of you. That is what this is. And it's to listen to that voice and to let it sing. And then you start hearing different songs and words, and yeah, whole new world.
So, how does consciousness relate to what you just said?
I mean, consciousness to me is just everything around us. So how does it relate? Hmm.
Or does it? Maybe it doesn't relate.
I mean, yeah, it does because it's everything. Consciousness, like we have scientific studies now proving that trees talk to each other, and mushrooms and mycelium and animals talk. It's telepathy tapes, right? Like we have so many studies now that animals know when we're coming home, and so consciousness is everything and all of the things. I'm sorry, speaking of pets, I have a cat here. Um, but we are all one. So I think consciousness plays into it. And it's hard for me to, I guess, put into words because I've never really thought about your question before, but it's everything. And it all boils down to energy, and we are all energy, even other dimensions, where spirits reside is just energy in a different form. It's a higher frequency. So everything is one. I don't know if I
It,
really answered that.
it's
No, I
hard
mean,
to explain
yeah,
mechanisms. Yeah.
I mean, what led me to ask that last question? Well, first, I was really just curious to see if you could, well, to hear you describe what exactly the mechanism is. And then the the reason why I asked about consciousness is I forget. I was talking to somebody recently and we were talking, oh, I know, there's uh, a saying, it's not my saying, but I heard someone say it that once a man reaches the age of 30, he has to choose between two interests, learning how to properly smoke meats or German submarine warfare in World War II. It's a very funny little thing about that men generally when they get past the age of 30 they settle into one of these two uh,
Yeah,
interest
that's funny.
areas. So I was telling him that, and then that led me to think about the theory behind reincarnation, which is that any historical areas of interest that you have in your current life point you toward what your previous lives were. So, for example, if this is true, I've never been an American before. This is my first journey into America. I have no interest in Civil War battlefields. I really don't care very much about the founding fathers. Abraham Lincoln's a little bit interesting. So is Teddy Roosevelt. Love Eleanor, but really, I've never been an American before. But I have a very inexplicable interest in Byzantium. I don't know why. And so, whoever I was talking to was skeptical. And I said, well, if there is one consciousness, and consciousness, if there's universal consciousness and it persists, well, then you can make reincarnation work.
Yeah.
And you can figure out how your past lives sort of bleed into your current life because the mechanism is universal consciousness. So,
Hmm. And we bring trauma with those lives with us now too.
yes,
We
exactly.
bring
And
we
like,
bring trauma forward.
those things that many of us have what appear to be instinctual fears of snakes or heights or water, or, all these kind of things that we accept as, well, that's just what it's like. But I'm always curious as to why
Yeah.
or how does it
Um,
happen?
it's so funny because before my spiritual journey, which of course we covered that it's fairly recent, before this, I always said because of my very severe and irrational fear of wasps that I likely died in a past life
Uh-huh.
from some sort of wasp attack. And of
Right.
course, I go down this spiritual journey and I'm like, oh my gosh, I was right the whole time.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, yeah, it's so funny. But
Well, but
yeah, it's interesting. Go ahead.
well, so I wonder, so I don't have any interest in any history at all. And I wonder if I wasn't alive in the past, if there was a past life, it was in the future. Because I have deep history and like, when are we going to get there? I mean, not deep history, but like, I'm sorry, deep interest. And
Mhm.
like, I often get disturbed when people talk about past lives because the assumption is that when you're not in a physical form, time is also going in this linear order. So past lives always had to be in like our version of what the past
Oh,
was,
very good point.
rather
Very good
right,
point,
rather than
Julia.
past life for your own timeline. And
Mm-hmm.
so anyway, that's a little thing that irritates me. It's like, I don't know, what if I've never been in that past? But my past is in the future, and I'm
Right, right.
Yeah. I've actually met one of my future selves before, and I know other people that have too. They do they went in for a past life regression session or meditation, and a future self ended up coming. And that's when you start learning that there is nothing but now, and past, present, and future are all one. So, I mean, what you're saying is totally true because that's yeah, the only thing that matters is the current moment. So you could be like you're visiting your future self, being like, okay, all right, you got to get through this, and then you'll get to me, and then you'll get to the next phase, or maybe like jump timelines, and you're waiting to like do that timeline jump. And um yeah, I love this world because there's my scientific brain is always like wanting a process and step by step and one and then two and then three, and then the spiritual world is, there is no time and it's not linear, and we have infinite universes, which you also learn in astronomy classes. But
Yeah, right, right.
do you feel like, so I'm torn.
Gonna work on my lighting again.
Okay. Does my lighting bother you, Carmen?
No, no, I
Okay.
don't,
Does
yeah.
my lighting bother you, Sarah?
no,
No? Okay.
I like the Christmas lights.
Yeah, yeah. They're sort of all the time lights.
Oh,
But
okay.
as a
I,
Jew, I'll say they're Hanukkah lights.
Aha.
okay, sorry. It looked
No, they're
like
not. No,
outside Christmas lights.
I have them up all the time. No, I just really like having purple lights in my office. But I am so torn because my
No,
experience
I'm
in
gonna
this
have to turn on the main lights.
oh, I'm sorry. I
I
hate that at
know.
night. That sucks. Um, I'm torn because my experience in this conversation is I'm like, Julia, be a grown up and don't ask Sarah what you want to ask her. And then the other part of me is like, you know what? That's boring. So I'm going to ask you what I want to ask you, which I imagine a lot of people want to ask you, but I'm going to ask you in a context that will give you an out in case you don't want to talk about it. So the
Okay.
context, I'll start with the context. The context is I'm very curious of your journey of making boundaries with these spirits, of telling them like don't come during sleep, only come, come when I'm ready, but don't like show up in the middle of work or something. If your experience of making those boundaries um, translates into helping make boundaries on teams that you're on or with other people or with friends. In other words, has that advanced your capacity to make healthy boundaries generally? That's the question. And then the real question I wanted to ask you, then that's the context that's allowing you to have an out, is do you see anyone around me right now?
Oh,
I I call all of this on the clock and off the clock, and I am off the clock right now, so I I don't because if I'm on the clock all the time, it's very draining
Yeah,
and very calorie consuming as well, and of course need lots of water, which means I will pee all night long.
yeah,
Um, so first question, hold on, let's go back. Boundaries. So during the spiritual classes, you start learning boundaries and you teach spirit indicators for when you're on the clock and you're working and you're ready to communicate with them. So I have a system that I or I guess like I make tea. So it's very simple. So I was told one of my teachers, her way of saying I'm on the clock is she would take her wristwatch off. She would take her watch off to let spirit know, okay, now I'm open to you. And so she would put her watch back on to say, I'm off the clock. So it was like little simple stuff that you end up developing a habit of. And mine, I noticed I would always make hot tea before I do any spiritual work. And that's when I start calming my mind, coming into my body a bit. And that monkey mind needs to stop worrying about what I'm going to do tomorrow, what I'm going to have for supper. And so that was, and I actually, as I noticed this habit that I was doing, spirit would start having stuff come in already. And I use all of my clairs whenever I communicate with spirit. So I get touch, I get feeling, I get smell, taste. I don't hear as much as the other clairs, but I still will. So I will actually take on symptoms of a loved one that had passed, of how they died. So I have the day of a reading, I've had major GI issues, and the person would have passed away from that. And immediately after the reading's over, I'm back to normal. I've experienced symptoms from an aneurysm, which was terrifying. Um, I have had, I've felt limbs be cut off from, soldiers getting blown up in war. And so this boundary thing that you start learning, like I don't really like this. I don't enjoy this like toilet situation when I have no symptoms. And so as the time progressed and I learned more about what I don't want, which is have an aneurysm while I was at work, by the way, my day job, um I say, okay, thank you. I know you're coming. Can you got to wait for me tonight. Like now's not your time to talk to me yet. And then I also have protection that I was taught in many different ways, like Archangel Michael, ask him for protection and a bubble of light and all these other things to help as well. So at nighttime, when I am sleeping, I ask Archangel Michael to protect me, and I don't just leave it as me. I also ask him to protect my pets and the house and the property that I'm on. So I don't want anything in the house either, right? So that's what helps get rid of the unwanted visitors at night. So now when I'm woken up in the middle of the night, I know it's something out of love and light because that's the only thing that is allowed in. So that falls. I'm still answering your question, I promise.
no, I know you are.
So
It's super interesting.
okay, so that's all of those boundary settings changed who I am,
Hmm.
because for the first time in my life, this people pleaser from Missouri and the Midwest nice is starting to tell things no. And that felt good. And that felt so empowering and also guilty because there's spirits out there that need help and they're coming to me. And so that was a part of learning. Like there's other mediums that they could go to, or, if you have time, I could help them. But that was the guilt. And I had to work through that. But when I'm doing all of this, it changed who I was with my friends. It changed who I was with my family. I started putting boundaries up with family members and with everyone around me, and that severed some friendships. People didn't like that. And that would hurt, but I also knew not everybody goes with you in life. And I cherished the memories and the time with the person or persons. But yeah, I started implementing more boundaries and putting myself first once in a while, which was super weird. Um,
Yeah.
so that was a really neat journey to, I guess I'll call it an unexpected journey to myself through all of this.
Mm. Mm. Wow,
So,
it's fascinating.
uh, is your psychic quality the principal thing we want to talk about today? Or since I came in blind, I don't know. Uh,
I just think Sarah's interesting.
yes, very interesting. So I wanted to, but
You.
if we're going to continue on the psychic line, I have a question.
Okay.
And my question is, so, well, one, I'm curious, where and how do you find out about psychic classes? But that's a minor question. But as you know, psychic practices have over the centuries had a mixed reputation at best, and particularly the 19th century, I would guess, because technology allowed for things like electricity and other stuff that psychics could, you know, who were faking it,
Manipulate.
let's say, could take
Mhm.
advantage of.
Like
So,
physical mediums
yeah, like
and
physical
like,
mediums.
yeah.
Yeah, the people that were trying to contact the dead, and so many young men, mostly men, were killed after World War One. I mean, the level of death immediately after World War One, I don't think we fully appreciate how difficult that was for societies, the English, the French, the Germans. I read once that the word decimate, which means 1 out of 10, literally, was not even used in journalism or writing until World War One, when the word was sort of resurrected to describe the level of killing that was occurring in World War One, which is, just a horrible thing. Anyway, so that also created a lot of demand for psychic reading. So a lot of context, largely irrelevant, because my question is, of the psychics of the past, historical ones, are there any that you particularly respect or don't respect or have any strong opinions about? So there's Edgar Cayce, and there's the whole, what is it?
All the channelers,
The Theosophy movement. There's, what was that woman's name? Abraham and
Hicks, Abraham and Esther Hicks.
Abraham and
Yeah,
Esther
that's
Hicks.
current. Yeah.
Yeah. Do you have any thoughts about that in terms of
Yeah.
however you want to express them?
I'll answer second part first and then
Okay.
first part second.
Okay.
Um, I mean, yes, there's a handful, and the ones that are from like early 20th century, I actually am blanking on their names now that you're asking me. The names are gone.
Yeah.
But I was told that I am a physical medium, so you could apport things and be locked in like a dark cage thingy and have objects appear basically out of ectoplasm out of your body. When I
So
started
like
researching,
Houdini.
yeah, having stuff appear. When I started researching physical mediums and what that entailed, because I knew it took a lot of energy and a lot of time, but is it worth it? And turned out I was reading a book about a guy, and he actually looks a lot like Tyler Henry. So Tyler Henry is an amazing psychic medium. He used to have a show on E. Love, love, love his delivery and what he's done for mediumship. But this isn't about him. The guy that I was actually reading about, and I can't think of his name. I'll probably think of it at 2 a.m. when I get woken up. But he resembled Tyler Henry. And what I learned from reading this guy, I think he passed away in the 1930s, but he talked about physical mediums having a shorter lifespan. And so
Mm.
then I started researching, what it really does to your body and how much energy it takes. And folks will, pass away in their 40s. And at the time I wasn't 40 yet. And I was like, I'm
Yeah.
out. I don't think my mom's
Yeah.
gonna be happy with this if I choose this path. Um, so I didn't go down that route, but a medium that spiritual leader I talk about often in my interviews and to others is Dolores Cannon. So she
Mm.
passed away a few years ago, and she wrote a lot of books that ties all this, alien races and NHI to the spiritual and the Great Awakening and the Age of Aquarius. And she had a way with words and has many books. Some of them are a little girthy and a little lengthy, but love, love, love Dolores, and I can't thank her enough for all that she did, and it was ahead of the time because now people are starting to realize that talking about alien races and spiritualism is a married thing, and she'd been doing that for decades.
Mm.
Yeah, so Dolores Cannon's probably the top woman on my list. I
Right.
do like Abraham Hicks. I think that's amazing. She's also alive still, so it's not somebody
Yes, her
that
husband
passed
died,
away.
Jerry, but yeah,
Yeah.
Jerry, I think it was Jerry.
Um,
So do you think, I mean,
so
so, oh, sorry, please
no, go
continue.
ahead.
Oh, well, so I've got like 35 questions. I'm sure Carmen does too. So I'm just trying to sort through them. But the thing that comes to mind is right now is do you think that there is, when you're talking to NHI, I presume you've had experiences of talking to these alien races, as you call them, versus talking to spirit. Is your phenomenological experience different, or is it just kind of the same, except it's a different target?
I'd say it's the same. Once in a while, I have to raise my vibration a little bit more to talk with NHI. But I was doing a ghost hunt one time, and there was an alien in the ghost hunt. Like it was in the room. I described what it looked like, and they panned over the SLS camera, and you could see exactly what I described. It was like 7, 8 feet tall, had different types of fingers, and what I described was on the camera.
What does SLS
So,
mean?
oh, sorry. I don't know the acronym, but it's the
Okay.
ghost hunting camera that is the stick figures. So whenever you watch the ghost shows, it picks up different EM electromagnetic frequencies and wavelengths, and so it is able to make a stick figure out of what you're seeing, and it also pick up humans too. But so you'll see somebody sitting and then maybe an entity like playing or putting their hand on their shoulder or something like that. So you'll see the stick figure that's moving around. It might be dancing, it's interactive, it's dynamic. And it's really weird when I'm like, wait, stop, turn left. If you take the camera left, you're gonna see something, and it's about 8 feet tall. It's kind of hunched over because it reaches the ceiling, and it's gonna have really long arms and not quite 5 fingers, and they'll turn, and then it's what I described, which is really
Well,
crazy. Like I did that with my mind. Um,
but that's
so yeah, so it's
because, so yeah, sorry.
Oh, I was just gonna say, so it's both of your questions though. So it's yes to both of it is the same frequency sometimes, but other times I have to raise mine a little bit more than when I communicate with spirit.
So, but is your theory about why a camera could see what you had seen is that that you are seeing like other dimensional beings and the camera can somehow calculate? I mean, so you used to work in, didn't you work in optics at like National Geospatial Agency? Yeah.
Yeah, I
So
worked
what,
I was a image scientist for many years.
so I mean, how did that work relate? That work seems to me directly relatable to this experience that you're
Yeah.
talking about. Am I nuts?
I mean, no, because it's still a camera and sensors, and it's the sensor is picking up different frequencies than like what your cell phone camera does, right? So there's a really loud fire truck going by. Hopefully you didn't have to hear that.
Not at all.
Okay, good. So no, yeah, you're not nuts. I think and I've always loved ghost hunting shows. So I've watched all this technology being developed over the past few decades from watching the shows. So I know how the sensors have been getting better and better as, of course, technology develops. But I hadn't thought about my background during my day job and it blending with the ghost hunting stuff with the sensors. So that's a really fun thing for my brain processing right now.
Cool. Wow.
And I was going to answer the other question,
Yeah,
how do you
psychic
find a
school.
psychic team? That found me. So when the moment happened, when I was freaking out and a person that I barely knew, his grandma came and visited me, I, I, yeah, there's no other word other than freaking out, but that's still an understatement of what I was going through. And I was in grad school at the time. I was working full time and in grad school. So I had no time to sleep. I had no time to freak out. And so I know I needed help and I just researched psychic mediums. And that's literally where I started was I needed an appointment with a psychic medium. I've never done this before. I've, paid somebody $10 to do a palm reading, while I'm walking around Old Town Alexandria or something, but I had never researched a psychic medium to make an appointment. So, because of my love for watching ghost hunting shows, a part of her history was she helped with the show Ghost Hunters. And that's one of my favorites. And I had been watching that for many years. So I was like, that's who I'm going to. And it happened to be 20 or 25 minutes away from my house. So
Oh,
I
wow.
was at my day job, and I briefed a four-star general. I briefed the director of NSA, National Security Agency, and went to my psychic medium appointment. And there she told me, after amazing messages that she provided me and a lot of healing, including my best friend that had passed away. He actually had just passed away not even a year prior to that appointment. Lots of tears. And then she eventually said, "You could be in my shoes. They're showing me you in my seat." And I said, "I'm in. I just need to get through grad school first. I can't do this together at the same time." And she said, "Well, I happen to have a school that I started." So it found me. And that's where I went. I went to the school, and so everything, of course, was in person at first, and then the pandemic happened, and I finished. I don't usually like to use the word certification because that's like a diploma or something, but this isn't structured like, my astrophysics degree. So I use the word certification loosely, but I certified, and it was during the pandemic still. So it was like November of 2020, I think is what it was. And I cried like a baby. That was such a hard thing to accomplish. There were many days where I wanted to quit and throw in the towel. I went through a really bad breakup during that time as well. So I was mad at spirit and the world. And so finding this spirit school was such a blessing, but it found me.
Are you open to talking about what you learned and what you experienced in your NDE? Carmen, by the way, thinks that perhaps people shouldn't ever talk about NDEs because some people come back and say, God told me this and everyone should be converted. But I don't think that's how you are.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree with that. I definitely am not that type of person. I mean, maybe if it happened to me, I can't speak on that because maybe if that was said to me, I would be saying something different now. But I didn't have a message for the world. I had messages for myself, really, and I remember a significant amount about it, including after I came back to my body. I remember my thoughts. I remember what was happening to me and not understanding why people were freaking out. Cause I'm like, didn't they just hear God? God done said I'm gonna be fine. Um, so I went in for a septoplasty. I had a deviated septum. Surgery went well. Recovery room part did not. I initially woke up. When I wake up from surgeries, I'm very accident prone, so I've had a lot of appendages repaired. Um, I asked for stickers. And so I asked for my stickers, and
I
I
love that.
warned nurses because apparently I freak out and like have like a little bit of a rage fit if I don't have my stickers when I wake up. So I warn nurses now.
Ready with the
Yeah,
stickers.
yeah. So I give everybody ample warning, and the nurses will even. So I'm certain these stickers I got, like it was from somebody's kid in their purse because it was like A+ student, good job,
I
and
have those stickers.
yeah,
I
like
have a stack
well,
of stickers like this.
that's awesome. So you would make me happy after surgeries. Um,
Good
so
job.
I wake up. So I wake up and I ask for my stickers, and I remember it was like the strip of stickers you get from your teacher, the little squares or rectangles, and I'm hugging them and I'm so proud that I worked so hard. And I asked if I could go back to sleep. And she was like, "Yep, not a problem. I'll wake you back up in a few minutes." And then I literally remember hugging my stickers and being so proud of myself. And I heard the nurse say, "Oh my God, she's not breathing." And I thought, who's not? I didn't see anybody else in here with me. Like I pray that they're okay. And it was me. The next thing I knew, I was around family. I had family members, like friends, relatives that I honestly forgot that had passed away because they passed away when I was young. But I was in complete blackness. There was no light where I was, but there was the most amplified feeling of love and peace you could ever imagine. Whatever you're imagining, it's more than that. There was absolutely nothing there but love. And my family was by me, even though I couldn't see them. I knew where grandma was. I knew where grandpa was. I knew where they were, and I was hugging them and talking with them and so happy. And then I heard a voice say, "I got to go back." So, your God, source, whoever you believe in, he was telling me to go back. And I said, "Go back where? I don't want to go back. There sucked. This is great." And said, "No." And so argued with God. And then my family started teaming up against me, and they were like, you can't stay here. You can't stay right now." And I was so sad because I was like, but and they're like, "We're always with you. Like, you gotta go." and and then yeah, I got booted out of heaven, and I woke up and was very confused. And as what I've now learned for NDEs, that you don't feel any pain. And I didn't feel any pain until the next day. It took them about 3 hours to stabilize me. And they think what happened when they restarted my heart, I had an epinephrine shot in CPR. And when my heart restarted and I took my first breath, I vomited. My stomach was full of blood from the surgery, from it draining. So when I took my first breath, I had also vomited and aspirated the blood into my lungs. So that's the lead theory of what happened. But because of the septoplasty, I had stents in my nose. So they couldn't put a breathing tube in.
Oh.
And I ended up being told, with a massive team of doctors, including Dick Cheney's heart doctor, I ended up with him, with her. Um, I was a miracle. I had less than a 5% chance of survival.
Well,
Hmm.
welcome back.
Yeah, and I'm here. I celebrate my Alive Day every year. This is my 13th anniversary. I
Today?
even got a tattoo to commemorate it.
Wait,
Wow.
today is?
Oh no, May.
No.
It's in May, but there's
Oh,
a 13 on that.
that's
So I got,
great.
yeah. the Japanese lucky kitty that I forget the Japanese word
Right,
for it,
right,
but
yeah.
there's a 13 in it.
Wow.
Um, yeah, so I celebrate my Alive Day every year, and I usually go hiking or I do something where I'm outside with some close friends enjoying air because I couldn't breathe for a little bit.
Well, so we only have a few more minutes and there's so many things on my mind. Carmen, I
No,
feel
go
like I've
ahead,
been,
go ahead, go ahead.
okay, so the two things that come up are to ask you, what do you think of Age of Disclosure, the movie? Because I know you and I both shared the comment that it was like, it was pretty good, but there were a lot of men in that. And I kind of figured out a reason for that. So I wanted to talk with you about that if you wanted. And then two, is there anything that you would want to say in terms of how you wish the intelligence community could potentially use these capacities?
Age of Disclosure, I still haven't seen the full film yet. When it came out and there was a watch party, I was in Peru and getting a tattoo. So, I've seen, I'll say a third of it, but I'd seen a little few snippets prior to it being out. It was phenomenal. I don't think there's any what bleh. There wasn't much new for me to learn because I'm so invested in the topic. But for somebody who like who's works at a zoo, I don't know, that was a bad example. For somebody new to the topic, I was like,
Those zookeepers.
anyway, yeah, my brain's starting to turn to mush. But for somebody new to the topic, I think it was really great. It was fantastic, cinematography and great job put together, and the narration. But yeah, women.
We're kind of missing.
Yeah,
You'd think
that's
that a woman never like worked in the field or saw a UFO. I
Mm,
mean, particularly you, because they were talking to other people who are on ATIP or UAP task force, and I feel like you're a woman who I particularly thought was missing. But I was thinking about it after, and I thought, what it was, or what it is really a way for men to give other men permission to talk about this stuff. And I feel like women give
yeah,
ourselves way more permission to talk about this stuff.
I think that's true.
that's
You
a
know
really
what
good point.
they say that religion is really for men, even though women are the ones who basically are the unpaid labor for most religions. The message of religion, lose your ego, serve others, yada, yada, yada. I mean, women, that's like their essence. And
Normal.
it's,
Yeah.
yeah, that's like SOP. The message
Yeah.
of religion is really for
We were
men.
born doing that.
Yeah,
Yeah, also we have
exactly.
to learn to have our egos before
Yes,
we lose
exactly.
them.
The
Yeah.
last thing you should tell a woman is to suppress her ego. Au
Yeah.
contraire.
When they were filming that, uh I had just been filmed to be on the program. So I was on James Fox's film around that same time. I mean, they never approached me and asked me to be on it or anything. I did joke with James that because Leslie Keenan and I are in the program, like some of the only women in the program. And so I told James he needed to splice her and I like little snippets in between segment changes just to have
Yes,
like a more female presence in the
right,
film.
right.
I don't think that was well received. So
Oh well.
I'm
I
curious,
tried.
what is your religious tradition?
Yeah, I was raised Presbyterian
Uh-huh.
and in Missouri, so I was told that the Midwest Presbyterians are a little bit more conservative, but I don't know any different.
Yeah.
But now I would say I'm more spiritual. So my daddy is a preacher, so he's a lay minister. So when I go home, I love listening to him talk and go listen to his sermons on Sundays. And I still pray to God. I just have a little bit broader perspective of what's out there
Right,
now.
right. And do you think I'm sorry, just to follow up on this one, do you think there is a religious tradition that incorporates more of what you've learned, what you
I
know,
really don't. Yeah, I
than
don't know that answer because maybe I've come across it and just didn't process properly. Um, I mean, I think it's a blend of a lot of things. I mean, Native Americans had it
Yes,
right.
right,
They appreciated nature and honored the ground
right.
and knew that nature talked to us. I mean, it's how my brain's still spiraling of like other things. So I think it's a blend of a lot of other religions that I'm sure I've come across something and I just don't
Yeah,
know.
yeah.
Wow, cool. And do you want to answer that intelligence community question, or is that too far afield?
Well, what was it?
Oh,
If there's any way that you think about, like I think about all the time about how the intelligence community could use these capacities, but I'm wondering what,
Oh,
yeah.
totally forgot you asked that. I'm so sorry. Um, I I have a hard time grasping that question because I truly honor my ethics when I do spiritual work. Like I wouldn't, Carmen, I wouldn't be like, oh my gosh, your great grandmother is with you. Like I don't feel comfortable doing that because you didn't give me the blessing
mm-hmm,
to encroach on your energy.
mm-hmm.
So for me, I don't know if I would want the intelligence community, doing remote viewing on other people and stuff because I wouldn't want that done to me. And I I mean, even my dad had some health things a few summers ago, and no one knew what was going on. And I even asked him, like, Dad, I could tap into your field and try to at least help pinpoint to let the doctors know what to look for. Is that okay? And he said no, so I didn't do it. So like I don't know. It's a like the scales have always.
I admire your answer, and I because it cuts against this general view that the intelligence community is this crazed, power hungry, rogue elephant trampling over
Some of
everyone's
them are.
rights. And, I'm not saying it's lily white, but
Mhm.
I admire the fact that you, as a person in that intelligence field, can point to some of the ethical reasons why we shouldn't be doing this.
Yeah.
Me too.
Hooray.
I see the goodness of it. I see the goodness of Stargate program of, going after some adversarial things. I don't know if I'd be okay with that. I don't know if I'd be all right. Like when I was doing UAP task force stuff, I would end up waving at like a video. You would immediately see something, you're like, that's not from here. And I found myself using that intuition and just like waving. Like I literally wave at my monitor and just say, hi, welcome to Earth. And so I used it a little bit like that, but that wasn't invasive, right? Um, yeah, I don't know if I'd be okay with that.
I love that. And I also feel that if you're doing like so the reason why when I train remote viewers, when I used to train remote viewers anyway, why we do things with unconditional love is that if you do anything with unconditional love, it's not going to hurt someone, right? That's my thought. Like if your dad gave you permission and you did the reading, you would have done it with unconditional love. And
Mm-hmm.
so if
Yep.
there's someone who can't give you permission, but it might be beneficial, then if you do it with unconditional love, at least you're
Right,
not going to hurt anybody.
right.
Anyway, so I think that's a really, I love your answer too.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Very cool.
I also love that you waved at the video. I often do that. Like I just assume that like for us, it's time displaced, and of course you're not actually seeing them. But honestly, if you're coming from a different dimension where our version of time is some kind of bullshit that you don't understand, of course they see you and
Yeah.
they're like, hey, she said hi.
Yeah, they're gonna feel my energy and my excitement and like welcome in cousins.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I felt so silly saying that. And I actually said that being filmed for the program. James Fox filmed me and I was just like, "Oh my gosh, if this makes it in the movie, my brothers will never let me hear the end of it. They're going to make so much fun of me." But that's what I did.
It's awesome.